And welcome back to Bearcat Update. Matt Elliott here with you. We're joined now by the Bearcat cheerleading squad head coach Jason Sack. Jason, first of all, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, my pleasure.
Now, you guys always go to nationals to Florida to compete in the national competition, and you're usually competitive, but this year was a little bit different than the years past.
It was definitely a lot more fun this year.
The Bearcat cheerleading team, of course, as you saw in the package there before the break, national champions in cheerleading, and talk about the experience of what it's like to be able to win that competition.
It's beyond special. Let's put it this way, still haven't come off that cloud. We're still kind of dealing with that process. But we were sitting in after the competition, then the kids competed, watching them, and they just really worked really hard to finish the best that they could. And as they were announcing the teams, starting with the placings and everything, and then they got to third place, and they announced University of West Georgia, which was the 8-time defending champion. Let's put it this way, heart started to race a little bit, started to feel real good, and then they announced second place, the Slippery Rock. And at that point in time, pretty much I can just about say I lost it. It was a tremendous feeling, and definitely one I'm never going to forget.
Describe your reaction after the performance. Did you know that it was solid?
We were the first, one of the Puerto Rico teams had gone, and then Pittsburgh State had gone, and then it was us. And after watching our performance, I was kind of watching for little things, and as a coach, you become the biggest critic of your team and want to make sure that everything's absolutely perfect. I mean, in 2.5 minutes, we've got to make sure that we're, firing all cylinders, executing at 90% or better. And we had one stunt that just didn't quite go the way it was supposed to, and a couple little things along the way. And at that point in time, I knew that if anything, the door was open. I mean, we were going to be a hardcore challenger, but did we finish out the way we were supposed to? Not quite, but it kind of left a little doubt.
And then, so you've got that going through your head as you watch everybody else perform. What's it like to sit through the other performances knowing the way your squad performed?
Absolutely agonizing. We had several parents that were down there with us, and they were telling the kids good job, and we were talking to them. We were watching the performances and watching everybody else get done with theirs, and we were rooting for them at the same point in time. Are we better than them? Or we're kind of gut checking ourselves every step of the way, trying to match our ability to their ability. And watching some of the teams definitely made us, kind of rethink ourselves. Man, we should have done this, or maybe if that would have gone a little bit better. We know that we could have definitely secured first place. And in my mind, as a coach, you're the biggest critic and also the biggest fan. I mean, I knew that we didn't do it well, but I thought ours was, probably one of the most competitive routines that was done on the floor, and one of the cleanest, minus the one little bit. But we really made things look easy.
And then talk about the relief that goes through your mind when you finally realize that it's going to happen.
Once we finished up with the competition, and they, like I said, they announced how we did, and the first phone call I made was to Dr. Borrichter and let him know how we did, and we're hugging and celebrating, and everybody's coming up, friends of mine and co-coaches, colleagues, and congratulations and stuff like that. And then they, I don't know if you'd heard about this, they actually took us backstage for a post-competition interview. We got about a minute into the interview, and my phone rings. My cell phone rings, and I'm just like, it's 11 o'clock at night down there. Who's calling me?
Who calls me at this
It was
time?
actually Dr. Jasinski. He had called us and wanted to actually talk to the team, so I had to interrupt the ESPN interview, and they put the whole thing on there, and they're because he sat there and congratulated the kids, and he was probably just about as fired up as I was, even though he was back here in Maryville. So
That's
it was a good feeling.
Well, you know how Drew Brees feels. Drew Brees had to interrupt an ESPN interview to get a call from the president after they won the Super Bowl.
I was listening to that interview with the Herd when he did that. I was listening to that, yeah.
So you know what he was going through.
Exactly.
Talk about what it's like. You guys go through so much with the football team and basketball team as well throughout the season. So you were just coming off of the football national championship as well. How do you deal with 2 national championships in 1 year?
And that was something that we talked to the team about, because we've been through the road of the football championship before and know what that's felt like. And we thought, like, this year we went into the competition being ranked number 1 in the country, and we knew that what's it going to feel like? We have to get out there and do our job in order to make sure that we don't have the same type of feeling that the football has had the last couple of years. Hey, we did a great thing, we had a great year, but we just didn't quite get everything we wanted out of the season. it came down to really focusing on keeping the same routine, the type of routine every day, just like football and basketball. Though your practice schedules, you get out there, you do the exact same thing. So when it comes to game day or competition day, nothing really changes. The kids feel very comfortable with what they're doing. They're very comfortable with the skills, and just like anything else, when it boils right down to it, it's whether the good graces are looking down upon you, whether you're going to do well or not. So.
Talk a little. I know the athletes themselves put in so much work. Talk about the kind of work you have to put in as a coach.
Probably the biggest thing I have to do as a coach when it comes to putting together a national competition routine is lots of planning and execution of making sure that the day-to-day operations of what we're doing, our practices, that we're getting the most out of the kids in a practice time. We want to make sure, like I said, that we have to be 90% or better efficient on our repetitions and making sure that they're performing at their best level. Find out what works best, how they're going to perform under pressure. We had to do some exhibitions. We drove to Kansas City a couple times to perform in front of at Abilene University, and University of Kansas was there, just kind of showcasing our skills for local kids from Kansas City, because we do have several Kansas City kids. And then planning the trip itself, because it's not just the cheerleaders that go down the national championship. It's Bobby Bearcat and the Bearcat Steppers. And one thing about it is it's just me. It's me with all of them, and it's about 40 of us all together, and trying to make sure everybody's practice schedules are matched up. And it's probably the best part about the trip. It's in Orlando. It was nice while we were down there, so I had a little bit of chance to enjoy some good weather. And putting that type of a trip together and getting them, like I said, to be on the same page every single day and get used to being in Florida and soak in the competition atmosphere, and then still be able to perform as if it was in Bearcat Arena, that's probably the hardest part.
You mentioned the Bearcat Steppers and Bobby as well, both of which had strong showings down there as well. Talk a little bit about them.
Bearcat Steppers had qualified 6th in the country in their open division category, which includes NAIA schools, Division II schools, and junior colleges from everywhere from College of New Jersey to Orange Coast Community College in California. This was the highest they'd placed in about 7 or 8 years, and they got down there and competed in the semifinal round, and they had 2 rounds because there were so many schools that were trying to compete because of the larger divisions. And they came out of semifinals in 11th place, and we kind of took them aside and just said, this wasn't the best. This wasn't your best competition routine. We need to make some things right. We need to make sure we're good to go. They did a lot of practicing from the semifinal day to the final day, getting them ready. They actually do have an assistant coach that kind of comes in and helps them from time to time, work on some critiques and skills and stuff. And she really, kind of got into them and made sure things were good to go. Bobby qualified for the first time ever, 3rd place in the country in mascots and what they call open mascots, which is non-Division 1A schools, including Northern Alabama and Drake University. He went down there, qualified 3rd, which was half of his total score was his qualifying video, which is everything from, the homecoming parade to running the team on the field to doing Bearcat Zone to dressing up as Santa Claus to just being in the community. His routine was a dedication to game shows, and we had Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, and he did a really good job, and we're really proud to make sure that first time down there, hopefully he can make it back again next year. So.
Well, Jason, thanks a lot for being with us this week. Congratulations on the national championship and the strong showing for everybody else.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back with more Bearcat Update right after this. Round 2 of Face Off coming up next.